This year celebrates Pokemon's 30th anniversary, and right from the start, it feels like they've been teasing some pretty big things they've got planned. At some point in the next couple weeks, they're likely going to be doing a Pokémon Presents where they're going to talk about a bunch of these new things that are going to be announced and rolled out throughout the year. They typically do these in February anyway, since that's around the time for Pokemon Day, but we know this year's going to be extra special, so they're going to have a big one to start off the year. And so I just wanted to take some time to go over what I think they're going to be announcing, what I hope they might announce, and what I'm kind of looking forward to this year for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. Some of my ideas that maybe they'll implement, maybe they won't. I'm just kind of saying what I think could happen and what I really want to happen as well. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about it. Firstly, I want to take it back to the first couple of games. I'm talking about Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. I have a really strong feeling they're going to be doing something with any of these games, particularly in the first three generations. What I've been thinking for the longest time, and I don't know if they're going to do this, but I have a really strong feeling they're going to maybe put the first three gens, or at least the first two, on the Nintendo Switch Online library with the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance if they decide to go for the third gen. I feel like they're either going to do that or they're going to release some kind of bundle where it has the first three games in them and you can choose which one you want to play, something akin to like Sonic Origins or the Mega Collections that they would release. Even comparable to Mario 3D All-Stars for a more recent example, you know, minus the limited availability. It's also been heavily rumored and speculated that Gen 10 is going to be coming out this year. Now I will say I haven't been looking at any of the leaks or anything like that, but I did briefly see some headlines where people are talking about potential starters leaking and other Gen 10 news that might be coming out on the pipeline. I haven't been keeping up to date with all that. I haven't been looking at any leaks. I usually never do. I like to be presented the information officially and have more hype when the announcement is ready to be announced. But I feel like I'd be pretty excited if they were to put out Gen 10 this year. It has been the right amount of years since Scarlet and Violet came out that it would be in line for a new generation to come out. And I think if they did, it would be really cool if they did what they did back in Gen 5 and reset the whole dex and not allowed you to use any of the previously introduced Pokemon until the post game where you had exclusively Unova Pokemon until you beat the champion. I think it'd be really cool if they did something like that where it would force players to, you know, get accustomed to a new lineup of Pokemon. We don't have any previous knowledge of these Pokemon and, you know, really take it back to how Pokemon felt when they first dropped 30 years ago. And again, the last time they had done that was in Black and White, which this is something else that I have been thinking about. Maybe Gen 5 remakes. We have to account that it has been 15 years since Black and White has come out, and they're the only non-3D Pokemon games that haven't been remade. We've gotten remakes of Fire Red and Leaf Green. You could even argue we've gotten a remake of that with Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. We've gotten Heart Gold and Soul Silver. We've gotten Oras. We now have Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but there is not a Black and White remake. And I think it could be interesting to shine a bit more light on Unova and give them kind of a new reimagining. But again, I'm just spitballing here, so some of this might not entirely make sense. But on the topic of remakes, before I move on from this entirely, I do also want to touch on some more kind of remake ideas that I have in my head for what they could remake to feed off of that nostalgia. Again, it's the 30th anniversary. We're going to be looking back, I have a feeling. So one of my friends I was talking to about this suggested the idea of Gen 2 remakes, which I hadn't really considered, but a lot of people, especially in recent years, were talking about the idea of Gen 2 remakes, if you will, thinking about giving Heart Gold and Soul Silver another chance in the spotlight. And I don't know how likely this is entirely, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. We still have to keep in mind, we got Let's Go originally, that was now 8 years ago, and we still haven't revisited Johto since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I think it would be interesting, again, with the modern stylings of Pokemon to take a trip back there and see, you know, how they would interpret that nowadays, what they would really do with that if they were to remake it or if they were to tell an alternate story, something like if we got a Legends in Johto, like if the Legend of Ho-Oh. Now I was also thinking about the idea of them putting out another DX mystery dungeon. I think it'd be really cool if they remade Explorers of Sky or Explorers of Time and Darkness, if they remade that for the Switch in the same way that they did with Red and Blue Rescue Team a couple years ago, where they put out Rescue Team DX. I think they could easily do a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers DX, and I've been saying this for a couple years now, but they still haven't done it. I feel like it's honestly a no-brainer for them to put out this version. And I also feel like they're going to put out another remake of a classic Pokemon spin-off. I'm thinking in the vein of how they put out new Pokemon Snap a couple years ago for the 25th anniversary that was revisiting that classic game for the N64. Maybe they'll put out something like I'm not sure if they'll remake Coliseum or XD, because those did just recently get put onto the Switch 2 via the GameCube NSO catalog, but I kind of think they might do, but that, in saying that Pokemon Snap is also available in the N64 catalog, they might do Pokemon Puzzle League, or they might give us a release date for Champions, because I'm feeling that's kind of a spiritual successor to Pokemon Stadium. Something else I've been asking for, kind of jokingly at this point, that I really wanted to put out, is a third game in the Pokepark series. Some of you guys might remember back, way back when I started doing videos on this channel somewhat seriously, I played the original Pokepark Pikachu's Adventure on the Wii. And honestly, I really enjoy the Pokemon games. I think they're super fun, and it would be really awesome if they were to finally revisit that little mini-series. The last one we got was Wonders Beyond, and I believe that came out in 2012. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just think it'd be really funny if they finally put out a Pokepark 3 after this long. I also think they're going to do something with the TCG. Of course, they're obviously going to have either a new special edition set, or they might bring back one of the previous anniversary sets. I was thinking about how they did Evolutions. I want to say that was back in the 20th anniversary. The reimagining of base set, I don't think they're going to do something exactly like that, because I know they also just did the classic TCG a couple years ago as well, so that might be too recent for them to visit something like that. But they are going to have a special TCG set out for the 30th anniversary. I know that much to be true. I feel like they might also put out a special edition Nintendo Switch 2, or a special edition console of some sort, to go along with whatever this year's main release is, because obviously they're going to put something out in October or November. I can't even really be super confident that they're going to put something out only in November, since Legend ZA released in October of last year. So it's hard to say. I feel like they are going to stick with the usual November release, but it could come out a month early too. Let's not throw that out of consideration. Whether that's Gen 10 or something to do with the classic generations like I was talking about earlier, we still have yet to see any of that, and only time can tell what the Pokemon Company has in their back pocket. I'm also thinking, and mostly hoping here, that they're going to have stronger support for mobile. They've been really on top of it in recent years, so I feel like we shouldn't have to worry too much about that. They've been putting out mobile games like Pokemon Friends, Pokemon Champions is coming to mobile as well, along with Pokemon Unite. Quest, when that came out, that was on mobile. Cafe Remix, and a bunch of other little mini games essentially that they have on phones. So I know they're much more receptive and open, and so is Nintendo in recent years as well, which I think is adding to this as well with Nintendo today. Pokemon Go and TCGP, obviously we know these, and of course they're gonna have something in TCGP on that topic. They're gonna have something in Trading Card Game Pocket, a special edition set. They might have a one-to-one recreation of this set that they're putting out in the physical card game in TCG Pocket. They might have their own special edition. Again, this is all hard to say, Ben, and I'm just kind of rambling here, to be honest. I feel like they're going to do a special event in Pokemon Sleep, Cafe Remix, and Unite, but I'm just going to brush over those because no one really cares about the mobile games. Oh, and Masters EX as well. How could I forget that, truly? And I think it goes without saying they're going to have something related to the recent Hatsune Miku collabs. I feel like that's kind of been leading up to what they're going to be doing for the 30th anniversary in an event to a larger scale. Maybe they'll have Worlds in Japan this year and Hatsune Miku will be performing. And I'm also excited to see what the 30th anniversary merch is going to look like as well. We know they're going to have a merch line out for the 30th anniversary. They're going to have a bunch of new designs out and things to celebrate that. I'm excited what that's going to look like as well, what I can go out and buy for my collection, and to really embrace what collaborations they're going to be doing as well. That's something interesting that I haven't really touched on, is if they're going to do any collabs this year with any bigger brands. I mean, in recent years, they've done collabs with Eastpak, Santa Cruz, Puma as well. I got that line when that came out. There's a lot of possibilities. I feel like with Pokemon and clothing, it's always the least expected option. There's a lot of possibilities. I feel like when it comes to clothing and Pokemon, it's always going to be the least expected one that they end up going with. So again, we'll just have to see how that plays out. But I think that's all I got for my main heavy-hitting predictions. I do also have a feeling they're going to do something with the anime, or maybe they're going to have another miniseries like how they did Pokemon Origins for the 20th anniversary, where we followed Red around. They might do something like that with Gen 2, which I was also talking about with that same friend who mentioned the Gen 2 remakes. I was thinking about how they might have a side story with Gold and Silver, similar to Pokemon Origins, where we followed Red and Blue. Well, they could put out a new movie as well. I'm not sure when the last one would come out. Are we going to bring Ash back into the anime for a little bit this year? Again, I'm not sure. But that's all my main predictions for Pokemon Day 2026, the 30th anniversary. I'm super excited for whatever they have in the pipeline for this year. I know that whatever it is, it has to be something massive, and I just hope that, especially if it's on the gaming side of things, that they've been able to give it the attention and detail and polish that something like this really deserves. It is the 30th anniversary. They want this to be a major release, be it a remake or a new game. I hope that they've been able to really lock in and put all of their resources towards this one project and make it the best that they can. We know Pokemon's been getting some flack these last couple releases where they haven't been putting in as much effort, where they've been dividing teams and putting a lot of pressure on the workers. So I hope that those situations have hopefully been alleviated and they've been able to put a lot of care and a lot of work into one body of work to, again, make this release, make this year, make this anniversary something incredible, something that we can remember for years. But with that being said, and with that all out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I gotta cut myself off here before I go on another tangent. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like down below and leave a comment telling me what you think they're going to announce or what you want to get announced at Pokemon Day, whenever the Pokemon Presents happens. The 27th, I did notice, is on a Friday, so it is very likely they're going to do it on that Friday. But again, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are hoping for. All that stuff. I'm very, very curious and very excited to see what everyone's hoping for. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. Obviously, we're going to be checking out the Pokemon Presents the day it happens. I'm either going to be uploading the day it happens or the day after. So be sure to check that out when that happens. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.